Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Okay. So, this is general chemistry 2, and last time we discussed intermolecular forces, right? Okay. So, this afternoon we will be discussing about solutions. Okay. So, we just continue with uh, what we started last week. Okay. So, to start with, ayan. So, most of the time, we construed, we usually conjure up thoughts. When we hear the word solution, we usually equate it to sugar water, salt water, and some colored solutions. Oh, little did you know, or maybe some of you have already known that air, brass, and window glass are also solutions. O, di ba? Because you learn from your chemistry 1 that matter exists in as either solid, liquid, or gas. So that means any substance, whether solid, liquid, or gas, that is evenly dispersed or distributed around another substance, whether solid, liquid, or gas, okay, they are also or is also a solution. Okay? Yan. So, let me present to you ang tawag dito, diagram that gives you an overview of the classification of matter. So, sabi natin matter is either in the solid, liquid, or gas. And then matter has two forms. We have the pure substances and the mixtures. Okay? And itong naka-red, this one that is uh, colored red, ito yung pag-uusapan natin because mixtures um, are of two kinds. We have the heterogeneous and then homogeneous. And it's in this part, the homogeneous mixtures are actually solutions, or all mixtures that are homogeneous in nature are said to be solutions. They are called solutions. Okay? So yan yun. It's this part here. Okay, so what differ mixtures from pure substances is that mixtures do not have distinct properties, just like pure substances. Why? Why don't mixtures have distinct properties? Kasi variable yung composition, hindi fixed. Okay? Sometimes there's more of this substance or less of this substance or the other way around. Not like pure substances where the composition is constant and is always in fixed proportion. Diba? In fixed proportion. And you know, you have learned from your chemistry 1 that pure substances are either elements or compounds. Okay? So, and I have to go through that because this afternoon we'll be talking about solutions. Right? So, solutions are often called homogeneous mixtures. Why? Because they are not pure substances. Yet, the substances that comprise them are evenly dispersed throughout the mixture. So, uh, this only means that sometimes or most of the time, mixtures look like they are pure substances. Okay? So, a solution has the appearance of a pure substance even though it is a mixture. Ayan. Mukha siyang pure substance. Kasi nga, homogeneous in nature. And it's got something to do with the miscibility of the substances that comprise the solution. Now, speaking of miscibility, we'll be talking about that a little later, okay? Just a little later. Okay, so let's moving on. Let's continue. So what is a solution? No, how do we define now a solution? Yan, a solution is any substance, okay, whether solid, liquid, or gas that is evenly dispersed or distributed throughout another substance. It is a homogeneous mixture. Ayan, homogeneous. Pag sinabing homogeneous, it looks like a pure substance. Parang single phase. There's only one phase. Okay? Yan. Mamaya natin pag-usapan yun. Let's continue. So, what are the components of a solution? Dalawa yung components niya. We have a solvent, okay? Oh, what about a solvent? So, a solvent is the dissolving medium. Siya yung nagdi-dissolve. And in terms of quantity, it is usually present in greater amount. O, kasi nga, mixture lang siya, nagmi-mix lang. So, the one that is greater in the amount is construed to be the solvent. Okay? And then, the solute is the substance dissolved in the dissolving medium. So, it is the substance dissolved in the dissolving medium. Okay? Yeah. So, for example, you have salt and water. All right? If salt is, let's say, you have a water that is 1 glass, and then you just add a pinch of salt. So, salt here is the solute, and water is the solvent. Okay? So, there are types of solutions, di ba? Sabi natin kanina, materials exist or matter exists in 3 states. So, ano-ano yun? So, you have the solid, liquid, and gas. So, that means solutions also exist in all these 3 states. Okay? So, let's take a look at them. So, gas and gas solutions, which means you have a gas solvent and a gas solute. So, what about these gas-gas solutions? So, these are homogeneous gaseous mixtures. The best example of this gas-gas solution is the air. Yeah, the air that we breathe. So, you learned from your previous years or during your elementary or during your junior high school that air is consists of ano nga sabi natin 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen, tama ba yan? Yan, that's sabihin na nating parang ano lang, simple ano, but it's not actually that one because other gases o ganun lang yung sinasabi because nitrogen and oxygen is what these are the gases that are majority present or that are basically present in the air in majority, okay? In greater amounts. At yung iba namang gases are just present in trace amounts lang. Okay? So kaya nga iniisip natin nun 79% nitrogen, then 21% oxygen. But that is not the case. Okay? So, as a whole siguro, as a whole, kasi yung iba, they are just present in trace amounts. In fact, di ba yung air has contain mga they contain also water vapor and other gases like argon, carbon dioxide, water nga as in vapor form, and then methane and some other minor components. Some of these components, okay, vary actually in concentration in different locations on the earth, depending on factors, okay, just like temperature and altitude, di ba? Kung sinabing altitude, yung how high yung location from sea level, di ba? And other factors include, aside from temperature, syempre yung mga, like for example, yung uh, what are, probably, are there some pollutants around? O, di ba? And then, are there, so, there's a lot of factor that really affect the concentration of gases in air. Okay, but majority of air in gas, okay, is oxygen and nitrogen. So these are our gas solutions, okay, or gaseous solutions, right? So next, we have liquid solutions. Ayan. So the resulting homogeneous mixtures when molecules of gas, solid, or liquid are dispersed and mixed with those of liquid, solids, liquids, and gases dissolve in the liquid solvent to form liquid solutions. Okay, now, in liquid solutions, okay, it's either the, of course, the solvent is a liquid, but it doesn't mean that the solute is also liquid. But solutes in liquid solutions can either be gases, okay, solids, or liquids also. Okay, so yun yun, all right? So kaya liquid solutions. Yan. So, for example, 'di ba, a solution, yung example ko kanina na salt and water, 'di ba? O pagka or pag when you make coffee, 'di ba? You add coffee, instant coffee, and then you add milk, and then you mix that, 'di ba? The solute there are solids, like for example sugar, and then yung coffee, and then the solvent there is liquid, but the resulting solution is a liquid solution. Okay, so this only means you have homogeneous mixtures. Okay, of either a gas and a liquid, a solid and a liquid, or a liquid and a liquid. Okay? I hope that's clear. Right? So let's continue. What about solid solutions? Ayan. So very familiar sa inyo yung liquid solutions, but I hope you're also quite familiar with gaseous solutions or gas-gas solutions. Pero most likely, I don't know, solid solutions may not be so familiar. Okay? But these are the many alloys around you, di ba? That you have encountered, or ceramics and polymer blends, di ba? Yung mga PVC, mga ganyan, yung mga brass, yan. Within a certain range, copper and zinc dissolve in each other and they harden, okay, or they solidify to give solid solutions. Tawag dyan ay brass. Okay? In fact, yung mga, like for example, yung mga jewelry ninyo na you say 18 carats or something. Oh, so these are solutions of gold and probably copper, gold, and other metals. Okay? So, solutions of metals, they are called alloys. Ayan. Alloys ang tawag dyan. Okay? So, silver, gold, and copper form many different alloys with unique colors and appearances. O kaya nga pag minsan, di ba, merong gold jewelry na maputla or matingkad, things like that, because it depends kung saan siya nakamix. Okay? So, alloys and other solid solutions are important. Bakit? Kasi most of the materials, okay, that are used in our, especially in materials engineering or material chemistry, ayan, alloys are the materials of interest. Okay? Excuse me. Ayan. So, these are the types of solutions. All right? So, moving on. Let's now continue. Ayan. So, these are examples. So, di ba? So, type. So, state of solution, if it's a gas, these are the examples. Di ba? So, we have the Earth's atmosphere. Yan. So, example of the solvent is the gas. Example of the solute is oxygen, argon, di ba? So, the atmosphere, yun, the Earth's atmosphere is an example, the best example, like I said kanina, of a gaseous solution. Ayan. Yeah. So we say that nitrogen is the solvent because it is the gas that is present in greatest amount. Diba? Imagine 78 or to 79%. So all other gases remain to be the solutes. Okay? Then we have liquid. Example is the ocean water. Also the solvent is liquid. So what are the solutes? So we have salts, diba? Madaming salts. And then gases also. So, why do you think fishes and other aquatic animals can exist underwater? Diba? Because, and imagine, these are also animals that breathe air. Or simply because there are oxygen gases that are dissolved in water. Ayan. So, then we have solid solutions. So, like I have given you an example earlier, yung gold jewelry and other alloys. And then here we have another example of a liquid solution and then a solid solution. Okay, so we have carbon dioxide in ice. So the solvent here is the solid ice and the solute is the gaseous carbon dioxide. Okay? Ayan. All right. So these are just simple examples of what we're talking about. Okay. So now how do, yan, let me ask you this question. How can water molecules break the bonds and dissolve solids? Okay. So as we continue, I will be discussing liquid solutions. So the best example of solvent na where you are so familiar is water. So, tignan natin yung process of solvation. Okay? Paano ba yung proseso? Ano ba nangyayari? Okay, so how can water molecules break the bonds and dissolve solids? Ayan. So, water is a polar molecule. Last time, we talked about intermolecular forces, di ba? So we talked about electrostatic attraction between positive and negative um, particles. But in water molecule, it is polar. So that means it has a positive end and a negative end. So that is why water is a polar molecule. So if table salt, which is sodium chloride, is the solid and opposite charges attract, it is reasonable to expect the negative ends of the water molecules to be attracted to the positive sodium ions on the surface of sodium chloride crystal. Yan. Because sodium chloride, okay, ayan. Please come back, ha? So, hindi pa tayo nangangalahati. Okay? Pag nag-end to, please come back. Ayan. Sodium chloride, ayan. So, sodium chloride is an ionic compound. Okay? So, they dissociate in water. So, mamaya, pag-usapan natin yung mga dissociation na yan. But for now, what's important is that the positive ends of other water molecules are similarly attracted to negative chloride ions. A group of water molecules will isolate an ion from its neighbors surrounding it and shielding it from the attractive force of oppositely charged ions. Ang tawag dito ay hydration. Ayan. So, hydration means, so here, after, for example, water molecules surround a sodium ion or water molecules surround a chloride ion, okay, these molecules are said to be hydrated. Itong mga ions na to are said to be hydrated and they are undergoing a process called hydration. So, hydration therefore means when ions are surrounded by water molecules. Okay, I hope that's clear. All right, so you can just give me some chats if yeah, okay, let's continue. Yeah, so this is an illustration of the dissolving process. So, ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin ng solvation? So, solvation therefore is the process of dissolving a solute in a solvent. So, yung pinag-usapan natin earlier, okay, is an illustration of the dissolving process or the process of solvation. Alright? So, let's continue. So, the process of decomposition of a crystal into hydrated ions is called dissociation. Ayan. Kanina nabanggit ko yung word dissociation. Okay? So, sodium chloride is an ionic compound. Okay? When they go around polar, in an environment of polar molecules, they tend to be dissociated. Yan yung ibig sabihin yan. So, that's how water molecules can break the bonds, okay, in sodium chloride. Right? So, in equation, we have this illustration. So, this is the sodium chloride crystal. Okay? So, the S here in parentheses means it is solid. Okay? The moment you put that in water, okay, nagdi-dissociate, nag-ionize, nagpo-form ng sodium ion and chloride ion. Yung parenthesis na yan na AQ, that stands for aqueous or aqueous. I don't know how to pronounce it. Aqueous or aqueous. Yan yung sinasabi natin kanina that the sodium ion now is already surrounded by what? Water molecules. And to illustrate that, we have this. So ito yung nangyayari. And yan. Okay. So you have this. Ito na yon. Or probably, this might be clearer to you. Okay? Alin ang mas maliwanag. Okay? So this is now the sodium plus which is surrounded by what? Water molecule. So, itong buong ito, this part here, is what is written here. Okay? So, that means we have a hydrated sodium ion and a hydrated chloride ion. So, sodium, okay, the cations are attracted to the partial negative charges of oxygen atoms in water. So you can see here clearly that it is the oxygen, the partially negative end of the oxygen that are attracted to the positive, okay, sodium. On the other hand, it is the partially positive hydrogen end of the water molecule that is attracted to the chloride ion. Okay? Yan. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. Alright. So, yan na yun. That's, last time, you have seen this in the intermolecular forces that we discussed. Sabi ko, makikita nyo uli ngayon doon. But this time, as this is an illustration of the solvation process. Okay? Using water as our solvent. Okay. So, let's talk about solubility. Yan. Ano ba yung solubility? Solubility is the maximum amount of a substance that can be dissolved in a given volume of solvent. Okay, di ba? If you have a glass of water and then you add, let's say, sugar or salt, di ba? And then you shake or probably stir and then nadi-dissolve. And then you keep on adding, okay? And then you stir. Then you will just imagine right now I want you to have a mental experiment, okay, of what we're talking about. All right, I want you to have a mental experiment of what we are talking about. All right, so imagine that you are adding salt or sugar into a water and then you stir, nadi-dissolve pa, okay, nadi-dissolve pa as you keep on adding. Pero, you imagine, you expect that darating ang time na even if you add more salt, o the same amount of water ha, we're talking of the same amount of water, hindi nyo tinadagdagan yung water. Okay? You will reach a point where even if you add more salt, you can no longer dissolve. So, you have reached yung point of solubility of the solute. Okay, so you have reached the maximum amount, okay, that could be dissolved in that volume of solvent. So we call that the solubility. Okay, in fact, class, there are calculations about this one, but we're discussing this in conceptual context. Okay, kaya we will leave. At saka, hindi ko naman nakita dun sa module nyo yung mga calculations about solubility. Okay? So, let's just have our discussion in conceptual approach. Okay? Now, next. Okay, so ano yung mga types ng solubility? So, you have unsaturated solution. Okay? Ano yan? It is a solution that has not reached its maximum solubility. Unsaturated ang tawag doon. Okay, so this means that more solute could still be added to the solvent and dissolving would still occur. Ayan. Pag dinadagdagan mo at nadidissolve pa, you still have an unsaturated solution. Okay? Then the other one is, pag na-reach mo na yung maximum amount ng solubility, you call that saturated solution. Okay? So, ano naman yung saturated solution? It is solution that has reached the maximum solubility. Okay? I hope that's clear. Can you give me a thumbs up if that is clear? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, thank you. Yan, very good. Okay, what else? Ayan. So we have supersaturated solution. Ayan. Ano ba yung supersaturated? A solution that has dissolved solute beyond the normal saturation point. Ayan. O pwede pa pala, pag na-reach na. But then again, class, this has to be under certain conditions. Okay? So, may mga conditions. Either you increase the pressure or you increase the temperature. Diba? O, pagka nag-dissolve ka ng sugar, for example, or salt, or sugar na lang in water, pagka cold water siya, and then you reach the saturation point, di ba? And then you add more sugar, hindi na siya nadi-dissolve. Tama? But if heat, you add heat to the solution, then nadi-dissolve na. Oh, so pag ganyan yung condition, then you have a super saturated solution. Okay? Yun yung ibig sabihin. So, you attain a super saturated condition, of course, it has to undergo certain situations, like for example, increase in temperature or pressure. So, ibig sabihin, um, temperature and pressure are certain factors that can affect solubility of solvents. Okay? Tama? Ayan. So, there are certain factors that really affect the solubility. So, moving on, let's continue. Ayan. Kanina, I mentioned about miscibility. Okay? Earlier, we talked about mixtures that are either heterogeneous or what? Homogeneous mixtures. Okay? Now, all homogeneous mixtures are said to be miscible. Okay? Pero specifically, miscibility, okay, is this. Yan. Water and ethanol will mix in any desired proportion. Kasi kanina sabi natin, solvent is the amount that is in the substance that is in greater amount, and solute is the substance that is in lesser amount. But for some reason, certain substances can mix. So, for example, if you mix together water and salt, tapos mas marami yung salt, di ba? Then you will not have a miscible solution, or there's no miscibility. So you need to subject the mixture into higher temperature or probably higher pressure para maging miscible sila. O, di ba? But for some reason, yan, certain substances, kahit na mas marami yung isa, mas maunti yung isa, or the other way around, they always mix, okay, homogeneously. Ang example niyan is water and ethanol, di ba? What is ethanol class? Ethanol is ethyl alcohol. Ayan. Yan yung alam ninyong ethyl alcohol. You might not know what ethanol is. Okay? So now you know that ethanol is ethyl alcohol. O, di ba? So even if water is greater in amount than ethanol, then they will still result to a miscible or homogeneous mixture. Or whether ethanol is greater in amount and then lesser yung water, that will still result to what? A homogeneous mixture. So this is an illustration of miscibility. Ayan. Okay, so miscible means homogeneous. Okay, so water and ethanol will mix in any desired proportion, always resulting in a solution. Okay, ganun din yung gaseous solutions. Okay, so all gases when mixed together will always become miscible or will always result into homogeneous mixtures, regardless of which of the gases is greater or lesser in amount. Okay? Yan. So, substances that completely mix this way, yan, tawag sa kanila ay miscible. So, therefore, miscibility is when there is no apparent limit to the solubility of one substance in another. Ayan. Okay? Ayan. So, there is no apparent limit to the solubility of one substance in another. Okay? So, that's miscibility. Okay? Next. Okay. So, like dissolves like. Ano yung ibig sabihin niyang like dissolves like? Okay. Solvation is determined by the compatibility of the solute and the solvent. O, kanina, sabi natin, okay, salt dissolves in water because salt dissociate into ions in water, resulting into a sodium ion being surrounded by what? Water molecules, and chloride ions being surrounded by water molecules also. Why? because water, being a polar substance, has a positive end and a negative end. And then sodium chloride is an ionic compound, okay? And in water will produce positively charged sodium ions and negatively charged chloride ion. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng dissolve, like dissolves like. So, ibig sabihin, polar substances can be dissolved or dissolved in polar substances. On the other hand, non-polar substances will dissolve in what? Non-polar substances. So, solvation, therefore, is compatibility, which can be stated as like dissolves like. That's what we mean by that. Okay? Oh, so hindi the reason why oil cannot mix with water homogeneously because hindi sila like. What do I mean by that? Water is a polar molecule, or is the molecules in water are polar in nature, while the molecules in an oil, okay, are what? Non-polar molecules. So they do not really uh, di naman dislike ano. So, they are not miscible. Kaya nga, even if you mix, kahit na pakuluan mo yan, dagdagan mo ng temperature, whatever, okay? Basta yung ano lang, there will come a time that the two will separate and you will see with your naked eye kung nasaan yung oil composition and the water composition. Tama ba? Okay? All right. So that's what we mean by like dissolves like. So, ganun yun. Okay? So that ends our discussion regarding the concept of solutions. Okay? Thank you and God bless you all.